we are going to get started on episode 4. Here we go.
StreamGeeks.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of StreamGeeks Live, the show where we talk about one thing and one thing only: live streaming. A high-definition broadcast brought to you by your hosts, the StreamGeeks, Paul Richards and Tess Protesto. Available via video on Facebook and YouTube Live, plus via audio on our podcast cast channels on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. StreamGeeks, the tech geek source for the latest in live streaming and video production. Let's get started.
Okay, welcome everybody to episode 4 of StreamGeeks Live.
Yes, today is all about troubleshooting your live streams while you are live streaming. There can be a lot of pressure involved in that.
This is not an easy topic, but just last Friday we had the CTO of New Tech on our show, and the stream literally went...
Yeah, we pretty much wanted to pee our pants, and it was one of those times where it was like, what do we do?
Why is it always the most important live streams that fail for no reason?
And that's, that happens no matter how many years of experience you have, how much gear you have, how long you've been doing this for.
No.
Stuff still happens with live streaming because there's so much that can be out of your control.
Yeah, especially in the world we live in where it's a person streaming from a laptop and it works 100 times and then the laptop has a bug, one time. We use a Windows computer. So that's actually what failed on us last Friday. So there's a lot of things going on and something's going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure exactly what happened.
No,
whether
we
our
really don't
computer
know.
overheated or I don't know. The power didn't go out, I don't think.
No, the power didn't go. I said that because I was so freaked out. I was like, think the power went out. What could it possibly? Maybe it flickered. But so live streaming, shit happens, pardon my French, and we're going to talk about how to prepare yourself. I've got this live streaming checklist that I barely look at this anymore because I know what I'm doing. I mean, we live stream 4 times a week.
I think it's important to lay this conversation out as kind of in 3 parts. Basically, what do you need to do to set up a perfect live stream, and how do you strive to achieve that? Second, when problems happen, and we could talk about our problem. And then third, resolution. What do you do when that,
how do you fix the problem
when something terrible happens during your live stream?
Yes, and I think we actually have some clips here of when our show went to absolute hell in a handbasket. And it was interesting to see, basically the computer just shut down. Like I hit the roll the intro button.
It couldn't have been more perfectly timed negatively.
It was like we had a full pre-show. Like literally, we were streaming for like an hour pre-show. Everything's fine.
No problems.
Everything's going fine. I hit the intro button and bloop. So it's like that little unhappy face in Windows. Like we don't know what happened, but we're gonna figure it out.
It might as well have been a big middle finger that pops up on the screen. Like, nope, you're not going to be live streaming right now. Doesn't matter if you're trying to impress some big name in the industry.
I know. We had Dr. Andrew Cross, the CTO of New Tech. Yeah. And when you're the CTO of a technology company, the chief technology officer, you're basically the head guy. And
we're talking about his baby.
The computer just died. We were talking about NDI, and so everyone was so interested. Now, the interesting thing I think through the process was how the people in the chat room, like the stream went down, but the chat room still stayed up for some reason, and how supportive people were of, come on guys, you can do this, like, wow, live troubleshooting, and how they actually were like being supportive throughout the process of us troubleshooting.
That's something that you're going to find with live streaming that's different than many other industries, like live television, like in the broadcast industry. You're not going to have as forgiving of an audience as you do on your live streams. Yeah. And you're going to find that people relate to the fact that you are human and make mistakes as well. And they actually rejoiced in that
when it came up.
When they were happy. That, they're like, it's okay. They want to say, it happens to me too, because it makes them feel like normal.
Yeah.
And that, that stuff happens.
Especially for us when we have a live stream about live streaming. Now, if you have a live stream about makeup tutorials and there's technical issues, I could see that being people not being able to relate as much as our audience. But so let's just step this through what happened here. So the stream dies, and me and Tess are sitting in a room where the computer is off. computer should be on live streaming. So we're just sitting there like, no, the computer's rebooting. We're thinking, what the heck are we going to do? And so what we decided to do was, now I feel like you were live streaming from your laptop on Facebook.
Yes, I was live streaming.
So did your
to
stream
Facebook.
actually die?
It did. Because I was taking an NDI source from your computer, and that NDI source was no longer sending to my computer.
So you were streaming a black screen to Facebook.
So the main goal was Paul and I just were silent for about 15 seconds. And then Paul said the F word. And then I think we were just like, all right, we're going to figure this out. We turned the computers back on. So number one, persevere.
Yes.
Okay, that's definitely tip number one. Don't walk away from the situation and cry. Turn your darn computer back on and try your best to restart the stream.
Yes. Now, because it was a scheduled live stream, YouTube thought the stream's over.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to stream. I tried to stream directly back to the event, and they're like, oh, no, that event's over. It's already available on demand. Like, that event's gone. So I had to go to the Stream Now function, which worked pretty well because it automatically sent out a notification to all of our subscribers. But the last time we used the Stream Now feature was for the streaming awards, and it basically sent out that thumbnail with that information because I was in such a rush. So everyone was like, well, why are you live streaming the streaming awards? And then they got there and noticed this is like a last-ditch attempt to get the stream back up.
I feel like this point that you're talking about here could be labeled number 2, flexibility.
Yes.
Don't expect that you're going to go right back to your scheduled stream. You're going to have all your overlays set up and everything's going to be perfect. The main goal is get back to your audience so you can explain yourself. Be flexible. If you have to hop on an old stream that's not ideal, hop on that stream.
Yeah. There's always the Stream Now key. And, you know, there's a lot of reasons why we like to use scheduled streams. And this is a pro tip I think a lot of people can learn from, is that when you stream to a scheduled stream, all of your watch time and your view time, at least on YouTube, is stored there. So you get all your views. If you use the Stream Now, all those views go to your channel and, you know, not the video itself. And I think the video is the key thing that you're creating.
Also for marketing purposes, if you schedule stream, you can share out that post and whatnot. So it's very valuable. But if you're in a pinch, just stream now, get back to your people so you can say, hey, I'm here. You know, this is what happened.
I think we have our YouTube channel set up so that if we are live, every single video that we have automatically says, oh, they're live now, click here. So I think no matter where someone was, as long as they were on one of our YouTube videos, it showed them a little thing that said, hey, watch here.
Yep.
So people ended up getting back. And one of the other things I would think about is, obviously, like you said, like kind of like maybe all your overlays and titles aren't working. I know our chat room that we have here integrated with YouTube and Facebook, that was gone.
Yeah.
That was just because it was different scheduled streams. I did not have time to go back into Chat Connect Pro and connect everything up. We were in a rush. And even getting the computer back on, and then we were using Skype, so I had to recall new tech on Skype. And the virtual audio cables, you know, I like to use vMix Call because it's much easier, but no, we had to use Skype, and there was a problem with the audio cables. But after 15 minutes of grabbing all of our crap together, we got the show back on air. We played the intro button, and we've already got a couple thousand views on that video, and most people watch on demand. So no one really knows that this horrible moment happened.
That's something to consider when you're live streaming. If you like to use your recorded content after the fact for on-demand viewers, you know, they're not going to know that this happened. So get back to live streaming, say your apologies, address the situation, and then move on. You know, you have to have the ability, and this is all easier said than done because you're kind of freaking out.
My gosh,
you can hardly think about, you know, where do I press the power button for the computer because you're so flustered and scared.
Especially when, you know, you've sent out emails to thousands of people, you've done all this stuff. So let's take a step back. Let's get into our agenda. So we explained, you know, this is what happened to us. That's the premise of what can happen to anybody, especially if you're setting up a live stream with your own computer, right? Or, you know, you don't have a dedicated piece of hardware. You know, I would say this might not have happened if we had a dedicated piece of hardware. And that was something that, you know, I started to think, oh man, maybe we should have bought a $20,000 TriCaster. They're $15,000 now. It's the TC1. That never would have happened on a TriCaster. But anything, no matter what you have, something's probably going to happen.
The good thing about problems when you have them while live streaming, there's always a learned, you know, situation from it. you always learn something new. You might rethink your setup. You might think about purchasing something for redundancy so this issue doesn't happen again. A lot of positive learning can come from your screw up. So the best thing to do is don't give up. Keep going. Don't cut your stream. That's the last thing that you want to do. That's the last and final ditch effort. You know, we were about to cut the stream.
Yeah.
And, you know,
it was very close.
It was close.
I was at my last wit's end, and you kept me.
We cannot be the ones to cut the live stream. You have to keep going.
Yeah. And now we've got this great recording. And
everybody loved seeing the live troubleshooting. First off, ask your audience for help. If you are finally back and live, but you can't figure out why you're getting audio from a browser feed, maybe, or where where you're hearing, external noise or something, ask your audience for help. They want to help you. They want to learn with you, and they want to be a part of your show. So that was helpful for us too, going into the chat room once we were back on, because we were still having some buffering issues. We said, okay, do you still hear it? Is it still buffering? And they were able to help us with that, and that was great.
Hi, Stuart. Hi, Rudy. We are getting we've got some live viewers. We do have some questions.
We want to hear about your situations too, so please feel free to share in the chat, and we might, talk about that on the live show. What has happened to you during your live streams that has just been SHIT hit the fan?
So we've been in this situation before. Tess has actually been in this situation where I went on vacation. We've got this live show. We have people who are expecting to see us every Friday. And I was like, hey, Tess, I've taught you everything I know. Well, not everything, but I taught you enough do you think you can do this yourself?
A basic knowledge.
And I guess, Tess went off and had shit happen on her stream too.
Yep, that's certainly true. We do have a clip of actually my first ever solo live stream with Tom Sinclair and how I destroyed it.
Yeah, let's play this clip because I think it's really interesting. So this is funny. This is Tess. Hopefully the audio will come through. It's 1 minute of Tess's first ever live stream.
Cast quality made affordable.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for bearing with me here. Tess Protesto, welcome to PTZ Optics live on YouTube. We are live every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and I am already having issues, but thankfully I have a wonderful guest here with me, Tom Sinclair, who is going to help me out through all of this. You might notice my trusty main host, Paul, is not with us. He is on vacay in sunny Florida right now, and he actually sent us a pic. There's Tom there's Paul right now, watching our show.
Okay, got it.
So what you can, whoopsies, sorry about that. What you can, if you're listening to this, what you can hear but not see is I eventually take my headphones out of my ear. I was getting double audio from somewhere and I didn't know where it was coming from. I was shaking, literally feeling like I was going to throw up. If you watched this, I mean, it might have been obvious to you. It may not have been, but I was about to cry. I thought I was going to have to walk away. But like I said, I just stayed there and I said to the audience, I'm like, okay, something is happening, and just put on a smile. A smile says 1,000 words, doesn't it?
Yes, you were clearly, it was clear because I was watching from home. There was that picture of me watching from an iPad from the beach.
Yes.
And you were clearly, you could tell that you were a little frightened. And I still remember from that day that you didn't even start the pre-show until a minute before, you weren't even streaming. And that's what threw the curveball for you.
Yeah.
Because you started the pre-show too late.
Yeah.
And what happened is that when you start a pre-show, and I don't think this happens anymore because we have it set to be muted by default now, but basically double audio was coming through your to your earphones.
I think it ended up being a browser input that I didn't realize that had audio coming from it.
So if you would have started the pre-show, I believe maybe 10 or 15 minutes earlier, that one little monkey wrench you might have been able to solve before the show actually started.
Yeah, for those of you who are new to live streaming, a pre-show is a great way to make sure bad things don't happen during your live stream. Yeah. It gives you some time to go live before your actual show starts, 10 to 15 minutes, and test some things out. Invite your guest on during that time to make sure that you don't have double audio and that all your overlays are set up and working and whatnot. That would probably definitely have solved that issue.
And
But
last
something I
Friday,
learned.
when we were live streaming, like I said, we had a pre-show going, and everything was great. And I was feeling really. You started to get more comfortable when you're in your pre-show, and the people listening are
Yes.
like, "Hey, your audio's a little high," or "Oh, this or that," or "Oh, this camera or that audio," and like you're listening to your audience, you're tweaking things. That's when you get those final little things all perfect. And we had done that. They were
Yeah.
like, "Andrew's audio's a little hot. All right, turn it down a little," and we were like ready. And then the computer dies.
Yeah, that just goes to show Paul has his long ASS checklist.
Yes, we're not going to go
We
through
had
this.
a pre-show. We had a test earlier in the day with our guests. I mean, we've been doing this. Paul has been doing this for years now. I mean, we are the type of people that should have our stuff together. Stuff still
I know.
happens.
It still happens. I mean, this is a list that you can download. It's called the PTZ Optics Live Streaming Checklist. Setting up the layout, tuning your cameras, your lights, your white balance, your focus, your microphones, the green screens, testing your bandwidth, testing, establishing. This is stuff I don't do anymore.
Yeah.
Because we're just like second nature. Like you
Right.
get in, everything's set, tweak, done. But
I had a checklist when I did my Tom Sinclair show, but we did NAB and I had to stream every day of the week by myself.
Yes, I remember that.
Sometimes that's the best way to learn is throwing
Uh-huh.
yourself into a high pressure environment and
Yes.
then forcing yourself to push through the fear of rejection, fear of failure, because fear, come on, that's the main thing that we're feeling when we're live streaming,
Yes.
especially if you're
Lot
new
of
to
fear.
it.
In fact, that leads into our Facebook Live reaction question. We're getting some great questions on Facebook, so I definitely want to answer them. But on a scale from 1 to 10, what we wanted to ask is, how nervous do you get on camera? So the heart button would be not that nervous.
Yeah, you're
actually
pretty
love it. Like you
comfortable.
love getting on camera.
Yeah.
And then which one's that?
The
Tess?
haha is going to be somewhere in the in between. Like, sometimes they get nervous, but I'm getting more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one is, wow, like I'm scared.
Terrified,
I don't like going
or
on
I
camera.
won't even live
Live stream.
stream because I'm too scared.
Yes.
If you're watching this or listening to this on demand, head over to Facebook and find us at StreamGeeks, and you can answer this question after the fact by pressing the heart, haha, or wow. We want to see if you guys relate to us in that
Yes.
fear.
And it looks like we're getting a couple hearts. So I think people do actually. Some people work better in stress. In fact,
Yeah.
this live studio, if we didn't have all of these deadlines, like for the streaming awards and for a show we just did a couple weeks ago, I think that you wouldn't be seeing 5 different cameras. here and
Sometimes that
everything.
pressure kind of makes you go the extra step and just go for things, take risks, and it can work out, and sometimes it can. That kind of leads to our branding quote of the week.
Okay, yeah. So what
Do
is
we
that?
have a clip for that? We don't have a quote.
No,
for
I
the
don't think we
week.
have a clip
Yeah,
for
So I
it.
picked 2 that had to do with fear, of
Okay,
course, because
cool,
of today's
cool.
topic. And they're both anonymous. The first one is, you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf.
Oh, I like that.
Except that things are always going to pop up.
Yes.
Be prepared for that, but more so be prepared like emotionally for it. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
that's where like the
keep your
base of
cool.
all of this. If you're going to be on a live show
Fake
or
it till you
producing
make
a
it.
live show, fake it till you make it. But also, like, if your core emotion is chill, and you're just like, oh, live stream went down, that's okay.
mm-hmm.
We can set it back up like that. If you can work on that core, that's what's going to permeate through everything. That's a great quote.
The second one says, obstacles do not block the path. They are the path. And I totally related to this because in the live stream that I did with Tom Sinclair, I only learned from that. I only learned from those mistakes to make sure that all your browsers are muted before you go live.
So yeah, that's great. And looks like we've got kind of a skew here. We've got 2 people on the comfortable side, 2 people on the
heck no.
the
we
heck
won't
no
go.
side. Then we got 1 person in the middle there.
Yeah, that's so true too. I feel like just some people are, just enamored with that fear, and then
Yes.
some people are cool with it. And it depends how long you've been doing it for, but.
Yeah, I
And the
know.
type of
My
person
first
you
show,
are.
I wasn't as frightened as I was when I started bringing like higher and guests on like last Friday. Like I was a little bit uncomfortable to the point where like I was actually having trouble listening to you. Like I cut you off once, you might not notice.
I didn't know.
But it was just because I was like trying to get the agenda done. We finally were live streaming, and then you threw something in, and it's like I wasn't even listening to you
Yeah.
because you had a great idea, and I was just like I just didn't even hear you because I was in my own world. So it's like you got to listen to your audience, you got to listen to your co-host. Like, you have to
It's
be
a
in
lot.
the zone, and you have to just like, and of course,
The guests
doing
can
the whole live
make
stream.
the stakes a lot higher too.
Yes.
Because
But he
there's
was
somebody
great.
there that,
It's like whenever any words came out of his mouth, it was like, because I had a transcript written.
yeah, Paul
and I
really
read
prepared
this
for
guy's-
this, which is why
oh
it
my
was such a
gosh.
shame. Because Paul was like studying for this interview.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It
And
ended up being fun. He was very forgiving.
most people are never going to know. In a year
Yeah.
from now, when they watch a really great interview where we revealed a lot of secrets about NDI and NDI-HX.
Yeah, he did some. He gave some little
lot of stuff-
future
Yeah.
highlights.
Future highlights, things that people were unclear about. This is something that just NDI 3.0 just got released. And
You know what? This is the live video moment of the week. So run the clip and let's play a little bit of
Okay.
our mess up with
This is our mess
Andrew
up.
Cross from NDI.
Oh gosh, here we go. Hello everybody, welcome to PTZ Optics Live. We've been having a heck of a time getting this stream going, but I think it's good. Thank you for being here, Andrew, and sticking with us here.
It's my
one of the
pleasure. It's way more fun this way.
So we're going to jump right into the interview here.
To be that.
I'm going to assume
things
that
you
our
can
viewers
see
there is that the show always starts at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and it was 2:19.
It was.
Yeah.
So it
20
took us
minutes almost.
approximately 20 minutes to recover. We stuck with it for 20 minutes.
Oh my
That's actually
gosh.
surprising.
I know. I was ready.
We
There
probably
was
should
there
have
was
just
like
cut our losses.
you know how like sometimes people say there's like the devil on one side and like the heart on the other, or
Yes.
the angel. You were really the angel that time because you were just sitting here completely calm. There was literally a voice in my head that was saying to me, "This is embarrassing. We might have to just walk away." And if I would have done that, I would have been so upset and embarrassed even
That's why
more.
it's good to have a co-host.
You saved me on that show because I remember it was speaking right to me right here. It was just saying, "Paul, there's no shame in quitting. Like just let it go." And I'm so glad we didn't.
And that's normal to have that thought arise because we were fearful.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that we stuck with it for that show because we learned a lot. Our audience had fun, almost.
I think they did. I think a lot of
Trying
people
to,
did.
I mean, let us know. But
And I think, Andrew, you might have heard in the clip, Andrew said it's much more memorable this way.
That's
He'd
it.
rather have it this
certainly
way.
was.
And he even made a joke while we were troubleshooting. I don't think people could even hear him because the audio wasn't working properly. But he said something along the lines of, "The only thing I can hear is the voices in my head." He's just making jokes, keeping it light. and
Keeping it
thank
light.
God for
And thank
that.
God for that, too. Mike Lotta says muted audio during credits. That's something we do all too often, and it's
Yes.
embarrassing that we always forget that.
We always
That's
forget that.
just the type of thing.
So there are some questions we could answer in the chat, but we do have a whole agenda, so it's totally up to you.
Absolutely. We can knock out some of these in the agenda. We can do the shows to watch for this week.
Okay, shows to watch this week on the live streaming agenda. Do you have one for that,
I got
Tess?
to pick this week's. I picked the mompreneur, Vicky
Cool.
Lashenko. I do enjoy her shows. The thing that I love about her is her branding. She's branded very specifically to working mothers. I think it's smart to tackle your niche audience. That's
Yes.
very relatable because she's a mother herself. And she only invites female mother guests on her show, which is interesting because it might be, seem a little one-sided or might be taken offensively possibly to dads out there who work very hard for their children as well. But I think it's just really smart because she knows who she wants to target and she goes for them and it works. She gets the attention of the mothers.
Yes, Vicky Lashenko.
And that's why I
is her
admire
name.
her.
She does a great job. We had her on our show, and I think it was one of the times where I was like, "Tess, why don't you choose someone for the show?" I think that's kind of who you chose.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit like, all right, our audience is very techie and everything. And she said a few things that I know. I remember Mike Lotta was explaining, like she was explaining the difference between men and women, and I think our audience is generally male. But I think
She's
that
used
she had
to
a
speaking
lot.
in that way because she's used to speaking to like women that
Yes.
relate to certain
She was calling them her
things.
mamas and everything.
Her
but-
mamas.
And you're totally right. She's got a perfect niche, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did learn quite a lot from her. Interestingly enough.
Having her on our show was more about showing people how to brand yourself and your live production, which is really important too, and I think of interest to our audience. So it was good to change things up a little bit, and hopefully they appreciated that. But her shows are every Monday on Facebook at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, if you want to check out the Mompreneur on Facebook.
Cool. So just an hour before this show.
Yep, just an hour before this show. You want to get into some more of the techie stuff?
Let's get into some of the techie stuff.
All right, random tech fact.
I have a clip for this. Here we go. Random tech fact of the week.
And now it's time for our random tech fact of the week.
So this is tech fact / tech tool of the week. We wanted to give this one to NDI-HX. I think it was sometime last week. I think NDI was one of the things we were like, if you don't know what this is, where the heck have you been? You are probably not following the live streaming industry closely enough if you don't know what NDI is. So now you've heard of it. It's a live streaming IP protocol, and the latest thing is NDI-HX, which is high efficiency video. And let me just break this down for you. We're going to post a video tomorrow on it. Low latency, high quality, 10 megabit per second streams from PTZ Optics cameras. Devices with H.264 hardware. Devices, real devices, not just software world. Now we're walking into the hardware world, which is a huge step for IP video and NDI in the future. So that's what it is. It's going to solve a ton of problems, and it's going to be extremely usable in the next 5 years. It's going to be huge.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention in terms of troubleshooting, something that you can use if your stream does die is Easy Live.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'm going to try to bring up a picture of it. I know for those of you on the podcast, let me try to explain what Easy Live is.
It's cloud-based, right?
It's a cloud-based live streaming platform. And we've had the CEO, Philip Laurent, on the show multiple times because I'm still such a believer in how innovative this product is for live streaming. And the reason why, and Tess, you brought this up, I can't believe you actually remembered this. It has a redundant streaming system so that if your stream does die, you can continue to, it would have saved us.
It would have.
Totally
This would have been the
us.
perfect use for using Easy Live. If your stream goes down, it basically says like what you would see on a live broadcast. Is it coming back soon, or temporary mishap, BRB, whatever cute thing you'd want it to say. But you can, it also allows you to control your whole live stream from it, I believe. So there's a lot more to it. But in terms of troubleshooting, it is something that's valuable to have in case your stream dies, because it does happen.
It does happen. It happened to us, and I'm glad you brought that up. So basically, it basically is in the cloud. So if you stream your stream to it, it is like a hub where it streams to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, a whole bunch of places for you. Now, if your stream dies, it still keeps those stream connections live so that you could say, well, if my stream dies, play this like test out a picture or a secondary backup stream, which if we would have had a backup stream, we could have started streaming from your laptop.
Yeah.
And,
a backup stream. Even if
great.
it was simpler, just a camera on me, I could have just started talking to him and be like, hey,
Yeah.
we'll be right back.
We're coming back. Like, Paul's over here getting the main camera set up, but I'm still here. Like, that's actually something that we probably could have done that would have saved us. So, we learn. And to me, I was always like, it's over the top. Like, I don't want to put a block in front of my stream directly to YouTube or Facebook. But now, you start seeing the need for these things as you start.
Yeah. And if it's event specific, if you're doing something that's really important, you might want to use it for that.
If it's
not
super
for all your
important.
streams, but a big event with lots of people watching. It's good for
Definitely want to have that redundant backup. So that's a great idea. Yeah, so we've had him on. We've got some shows where we show the platform and show what it looks like. So check out
Gladys
Easy
says
Live.
backup encoder is cheaper though.
A backup encoder is going to be cheaper, but backup encoder is not going to replace. A backup encoder could work to just stream, but it's not going to hold like the way the cloud can just hold the stream connection directly with YouTube and Facebook while your main RTSP stream dies. So a backup encoder is going to be cheaper for sure. You have to pay for Easy Live monthly and per minute even, so it's not cheap by any means. But it's one of the only platforms out there that allow you to keep that stream connection to YouTube and Facebook. And they show a chart where this is what happens when your stream dies. Whoop! All your viewers go away. This is what happens if you keep the connection and tell people we're coming back soon, and they stay longer. So
Yeah, I have a lot of faith in our viewers because you know,
They
I
stayed.
expected to come back and it just say 0, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, we lost them all. And they waited for us, and I love them for that. We have a
Yep.
great audience.
They
But
came back.
if you know, if your viewers are more random, they probably would leave.
Yeah, and I was actually talking to my brother who was watching the stream, and he's like, what happened to the stream? It went down right at the beginning, and then he said, you know what? I stopped watching, and I was like, well, didn't you see the stream later? And he was like, well, he was expecting another email to go out.
Interesting.
So if
And
we
we
would've-
could have done a quick email. See, we're learning.
We could have done it
This
like
is
if
exact
your
type of
stream
thing.
does go down and you've already got an email platform that you use to
So you
kind
had
of
your
notify
list
people
ready.
of, you can just clone that email, change it real quick,
Give 'em a new
and say,
link.
hey guys, we went down, but here's the new link, and boom, you probably get everybody back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So we could have done that, but in the midst of everything, there's no way we would have thought of that.
There's one more tool that I wanted to talk about, something that we just implemented in our studio
Yes.
today.
Let
A
me see if I
little
can get a picture of
HD
this.
to SDI switcher.
Yeah.
So we could add on some more cameras and different camera angles, which is why you're seeing, if you're watching and not listening, that's why you're seeing some different and new camera angles on our studio
So I want to
today.
explain what this thing is. Here it is here. So this is one of the reasons why we
you can
decided
run
to go over this is because this is a way where you can add more cameras to your video production. That's the kind of, you can see our video production has like a core of 4 cameras that we're rotating throughout. And I can't believe how many high-end streamers I watch, like Gary Vaynerchuk, who does a stream all the time. Billy Jean, a cool marketing guy out there. They do these live streams and it's them talking to a single camera. And I can't believe how easy it is to just start adding more cameras to your video production and how much more engaging and immersive it is for your viewers to have a couple different angles. And how easy it is to automate, the rotation of those.
Yeah, preset playlists. Lassie said something interesting. Our hardware encoder died 5 minutes before our show. Saved by software. It goes both ways.
How about that?
How true is that, though?
Hardware encoders will break too, probably. I don't know which one's more reliable anymore.
It's funny that one saves the other. It
I know.
just depends on what you rely on in the first place.
I guess, we're heavily reliant on vMix, so if it dies, we don't have a great backup plan. But Lassie, that is very interesting to hear. And everyone wanted to hear what Andrew had to say. That's probably why we all stayed, said Andre's Landmark. It was a big show, and he let out a lot of cats out of the bag. And thank you for staying.
That's funny. But it was a big guest, so they probably were really eager to hear from him, which is understandable.
I love seeing
Either
our
way,
chat
we're
bar
happy.
full of comments. Again, those of you listening on the podcast can't see the chats. We were reading them out here. But here we are on episode 4 or 5, and we're actually getting thoughtful comments that we can that's kind of like what live streaming is all about, is engaging. And we kind of felt like on our first show, we were like, there's no one chatting with us.
for
Like,
StreamGeeks,
they were just like missing that
nobody likes
element. And now we're finally getting closer.
We're happy to have you guys here on
Thank
our
you,
new
guys.
platform, StreamGeeks. Thank you so much. That covers our agenda for today as well.
Awesome. Well, that's great. We had a fun show, and I think that we're gonna have a free checklist here. If this is at all helpful for you, if you're the kind of person that likes to, if you're setting up a live show for the first time, the checklist is great. Then you start to get into your groove, and you like Tess and I will be like moving lights around, moving cameras around, trying new things, and it kind of just becomes like an extension of like you just know it all, like where everything is.
Routine.
And, you get your show, and your show gets into routine, and people actually like routines as long as it's an interesting segment with unique content inside of the routine. So we've done a good job with that.
And then when, problems happen while you're live streaming, as they inevitably do, there were 3 points, I think, that we covered today for tips.
Yes.
One was persevere.
Persevere,
Don't turn the
very
stream
important.
off, even if you're embarrassed, even if you are silent. Just persevere, try and fix the issue to the best of your ability.
Yes.
What was the second one?
Teamwork comes in there a lot too.
Teamwork.
If
you have a team.
if you have a
then
team, it
yeah.
makes it so you have someone to talk to.
Number 2 was
definitely good.
flexibility.
Sorry.
Be
yes,
flexible
flexibility.
on
Mhm.
your comeback. It doesn't have to be perfect, but the main goal is to get back to your audience so you can engage and communicate with them about the issue. What was the third one?
The third one,
Was that apology and recovery? I forget what it was.
It's really just the resolution of people are going to be behind you. As long as you have something important to say, your audience is going to be there.
It was like continue.
And just push through and persevere, because, one of the things we mentioned is that most people, and I think this is true for any live broadcast except maybe like the Times Square ball drop, or the World Cup, but most people are going to watch your video on demand. So if you have a problem, hopefully it all gets sussed out.
It was like the fake it till you make it part.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, pretend it didn't happen and move on.
Move on. Redo your intro as if no one would ever know. I made a brief mention in the video that we've had a heck of a time getting started, but I don't even think most people would pick up on the fact that there was 20 minutes of issues and troubleshooting.
And
so
it's your live viewers that get to be in that very intimate moment where that fear has overcome you, and that's important too. Let your live viewers have that special moment of getting to see you, flake on something, and then give that content to your on-demand viewers.
Yeah, and I feel like having this conversation, I wish we would have had this conversation or a show on this earlier, because I feel like now that we've talked it through and we've explained what it's like to be in that situation, why it's so important to push through, I feel like next time this happens, I'm going to be much more like, okay, this kind of stuff happens. And I mean, honestly, we have streamed hundreds and hundreds of streams with no issues. So it's almost like I don't know, like I'm like there's nothing to fix.
Look, the problem just gave us our idea for our next StreamGeeks show. I mean, come on.
You can't ask for more than that, right?
No, it just gave us awesome content to talk about. And I also feel like us having a conversation about what happened gave us some new and fresh perspective and ideas on what to do next time a problem arises. And that's a great idea, too. Sit down and talk about it afterwards.
Yes, I mean, and that's probably true for every live show you ever do. It's always kind of like managing a website. If everyone's ever done that before, it's never done, and it's always changing and evolving. And your show will be the same way. Your live stream setup will be the same way. If it's not always changing, it's probably going to be boring. Now, Rudy, thank you. Rudy is saying our interaction between us is getting better.
Because I love you.
We're doing really, really well.
Ray says laptop crashed 2 Tuesdays back to back, and vMix held the audio for the entire show.
Wow. How did that work?
I don't know.
Ray is from Pulling Radio Network, and he's got a great show with tractors and stuff. Remember, he was on the show? At
the beginning of when I was
here.
He
won one of the streaming awards.
Okay.
I think which one. Best live event coverage, maybe.
Okay. Wait, did he get to come on for a brief moment and discuss? Okay,
he was in his car.
I remember him. Yep.
So thank you for being here.
And that about wraps it up today for troubleshooting your live streams while live. If you are watching or listening to this, head over to our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/StreamGeeks, and let's continue this conversation. We want to hear your feedback. We want to hear your experiences as well. We'll see you next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Bye, everybody.